Hey guys, Crystal here with Emerson Aurora Design. Today I have a fun tumbler to show you with metallic foils and wood grain peekaboo. Fall is in the air and I'm so ready for this one. I am going to do a Tack It method here on this 25-ounce straight tumbler from Stainless Depot. And I'm going to apply Tack It directly to my tumbler in a thin, even coat and apply my foils directly over once it is dry. Tack It is a great tool to use. It allows the glue to dry and remain sticky, perfect for my foils. This is my first all foiled tumbler using Tack It, and I really love the way it looks, and I will definitely do this technique more. I plan on doing more of this technique. It's easy, but it is a little messy. Don't think you're getting away from the mess by not using glitter. I purchased these different metallic foils from Amazon. I'll leave a link in the description below. I'm using different shades of gold and copper and just kind of tapping them along the tumbler. I don't really want a real smooth finish. I like the texture that it's going to give. So I'm kind of putting it in little clumps, and some pieces are sticking up, but we'll take care of that in just a minute. This will be a Peekaboo tumbler, so I'm going to make sure that I'm getting all the surfaces really well, including the bottom, because I'm not sure at this point where I'll put all of my decals for my Peekaboo. Once you have it all covered, go ahead and burnish it down with your fingers, and this is where it gets messy. That foil kind of floats in the air. It's actually lighter than air, so it is a little bit more messy than glitter. Just make sure that you're not breathing that in, so maybe just wearing a regular dust mask while you do the burnishing. And you can see how beautiful that texture is with the different colors and textures of that metallic foil. Here I have a beautiful bronze Brilliance from the glitter craze. I wanted to add just a little bit of glitter in certain areas, so I'm just putting a little bit of Tack It in my cup here, and I'm going to apply almost like veins of the Tack It. Wherever you like to put it, you can put it. I just wanted a little bit of bronze glitter to show through my peekaboo. So I'm just doing kind of a tapping motion with my Tack It in a veining pattern. No rhyme or reason really. Also, I want to fill in any spots that I may have missed with my foil. And once this Tack It dries, I'm going to just sprinkle my glitter on and burnish it down like the regular Tack It Method glitter. How many of you are ready for fall? I am so excited. It is fall now. The days are cooler here in southern Indiana. We get pretty humid down here, and I am so ready for this beautiful fall weather and the leaves to change, and of course pumpkin spice or caramel lattes. This, of course, is sped up, so actually I'm going a little slower than this video. I just did it for time constraints. So I'm just sprinkling on my bronze glitter, and you can see how beautiful this glitter is. I think it'd be perfect for a cheetah print. It's just so beautiful. So I'm just sprinkling it over the whole thing, and it'll catch on the Tack It because the Tack It's sticky, and it will catch that glitter. And it just adds that little added dimension to this tumbler. I will go ahead and spray seal this with my Rust-Oleum clear spray before putting my epoxy on to hold that glitter right in place. So this is after a layer of epoxy has been added and cured, and now you can see how beautiful all that metallic color and the glitter is. And now I'm going to add my Peekaboo Stencil. I made this stencil myself using my Cricut design space. I just took various leaf patterns and pumpkin patterns from my design space and stuck them together in a eye-pleasing way and welded them. If you guys ever want a tutorial on how I do my Cricut Design Space patterns, just let me know in the comments below. I just play around with it until I find the way I like it. I'm no expert, but if you'd like a video, I would be happy to show you guys how I do this. So I'm going to show you a cool trick I learned. I have my little cutting mat with my measurement lines on it, and I'm going to measure or lay it down perfectly straight. And this is a straight tumbler, so this works really well. I'm literally just placing my cup down so that the rim is straight on that tumbler and just rolling it across, and it will be completely straight. It just makes it so easy, especially when you're using a straight sided tumbler. So here I have some overlap. I'm just trying to finagle this around. Of course, it's not going to match up completely straight, so I'm going to have to do a little bit of trimming here so that my image looks good. And you'll see me going through and trimming off those pieces that are overlapping. Like I said, it's not going to be perfect, and I do want to kind of keep some of those images intact for my peekaboo. However, we're going to be going over this with a wood grain effect, so it is easier to hide a seam when you're doing a peekaboo. So I'm just taking my sharp sorry guys, I can't talk today. I'm taking my sharp X-Acto blade and just trimming off those excess pieces, and I'm going to peel this up here. Peekaboos are more forgiving, so that's why I really like this technique. You can trim off pieces and try to get your leaves to line up a little bit better. But ultimately, if you are having issues and you have a significant seam, you can just keep that area covered up and not, you can cover it with a peekaboo. I can't talk today, guys. Sorry, it's been a while since I've put up a video. I was visiting my daughter in Washington and helping her with some issues that she was having. So I'm happily home again and back on the tutorial train. So I hope you guys didn't miss me too bad, but you're going to get a twofer this weekend. I'm going to put this one up today, and I'm probably going to put another one up tomorrow. So you get a twofer weekend this time. So I'm just doing some cleanup here, and you'll see me try to fix that overlay again. I want the leaves to look as intact as possible, and you'll see how I do that. I kind of cut around the leaves in a curved pattern to make it look like it's a leaf. And here I am, I'm just poking the vinyl to get the bubbles out. It really doesn't matter if you have bubbles in a peekaboo, it's going to peel up anyway. So you can see how pretty that looks already. Of course, you wouldn't want to, well, you might. You may want a pink vinyl on your pretty copper cup, but I'm not going to. It is kind of pretty though. So here's where I'm going to kind of fix those lines and try to get them as close to each other as possible. So I'm just kind of going to remove a couple of these little leaves here that I didn't really want, and I don't like that line of that seam, so I'm going to just cut that right off and go around the shape of the pumpkin to make it look as close as I can to an intact pumpkin. And some of these leaves, like this little maple leaf, I'm just going to remove it entirely. It wasn't really pleasing to the eye, so I'm going to remove that. And I'm okay that it's going to have a larger area of the overcoating wood grain. There's nothing wrong with that. I'll probably end up putting my decal over this spot anyway at the end, so you won't really even notice it. When you do these, don't get too hard on yourself if it's not completely perfect. This is art, and art is never perfect. It's just subjective. Do your best, you know. Like I said, peekaboos are one of my favorites, and they're the most forgiving because in the end you don't even notice those little flaws. Make sure you're using removable vinyl when you do your peekaboos. It makes your life so much easier. Trust me, I have struggled to no end because some of my vinyl isn't labeled removable or permanent, and when I go to cut out my patterns, I just tend to use colors that I don't normally use on my tumblers, and I use those as peekaboos. Save yourself a ton of hassle and just buy some removable vinyl, maybe in a color that is hideous, and then you always know that that is the removable vinyl. There we go. That looks better to me. So let's take this outside and give it a good spray. I sprayed this down twice with my Rust-Oleum 2x white primer. You can use white spray paint, white satin, white gloss, whatever you want. I'm going to take my little handy dandy chip brush. That's my favorite. I like to use for my wood grains. And I wanted to do a blue wood grain. I thought that would look so pretty with the copper and gold. So I'm using these two alcohol inks from Tim Holtz. This is Celestial. It actually has a shimmer, a mica in it, and a couple of different blues, sailboat blue and one other that I don't remember the name. It doesn't matter, just use the colors that you really like. You don't have to use Tim Holtz alcohol inks, just use your favorite. And I'm going to do what I normally do with my wood grains. I'm just going to make a stripe and brush it back and forth with my chip brush. And the coarse bristles on this chip brush really help to make it a really neat wood grain. You can buy inexpensive chip brushes on Amazon. I actually purchased a large pack at Harbor Freight for really cheap, actually. So if you have a Harbor Freight in your neighborhood, that is a wonderful place to go to get tons of accessories for crafting, even though it's a hardware store. I love Harbor Freight. So I'm just going to speed this up here. I'm just alternating the colors, kind of getting it the way that I want, and until it's pleasing to the eye. So once alcohol ink dries, it will reactivate when you put another layer on. So it gives it a good dimension here, and I really love the way that it turns out. And I really like how the Celestial worked. I don't think I'm putting it on here yet. You'll see here in a few minutes, but it essentially has, it's alcohol ink with mica in it. And you have to really shake it up really well. That's not it either. But it adds a shimmer to this wood grain that I really like. So try different ways, different patterns and brushing patterns, however you like, and stop when you like the look of it. This is, of course, sped up. If you were to swipe that brush back and forth as fast as I am in this video, you would have a blue arm. That's why I'm wearing a glove, actually, because I usually end up with splatters of alcohol ink, but obviously you don't have to go as fast as I am here. This is the Celestial, and you can see that it goes on kind of thick, but it's actually a thin consistency, if that makes sense. But it really adds a pretty shimmer, and you'll be able to see it better in the close-ups after the epoxy is applied. You can start to see my pattern coming through. Give you an idea of what it will look like here in a little while. And then don't forget to do your bottom. and wood grain the bottom also. I have other wood graining videos and tutorials on my channel here, so if you are interested in seeing different types of wood grains and different styles that I've done, go ahead and go through my video lineup and you will see all different ones that I've done. I think wood grains are one of the most satisfying things to do. You can't mess them up. They're just so cool. And it surprises me that you can make something look like wood grain from just a little chip brush and some alcohol ink. So now I'm going to remove my vinyl. And here is where you guys are going to understand when I say make sure you use stencil vinyl or removable vinyl when you're doing peekaboos. Because I think that this pink vinyl I used was a permanent vinyl. Wah, wah, wah. So frustrating. Needless to say, after I did this project, I hopped online and went to my craft source and I purchased a 5-yard roll of removable vinyl in an ugly army gray. Or army green, actually. You'll see it in future tutorials, me using it. I purposely chose a ugly color that I normally, I mean, you guys might think that's a pretty color, but I don't use army gray in a lot of my vinyls, so I purchased one that I knew that I wouldn't use for just regular vinyling. Is that a word? I don't know. Anyway, and that way I always know that that one is removable and that is for my stencils and my peekaboos. Anyway, I'm going to struggle bust through this here and I will jump ahead here in a few minutes, but you'll see that this is the reason why it's hard to use permanent vinyl when using this. Also, the other thing that's really annoying if you accidentally use permanent vinyl on your peekaboo is it will leave a residue on the epoxy, the underneath part. So you will probably have to seal your tumbler after peeling up all of your design before you epoxy, otherwise you will get fish eyes. And yes, I did get fish eyes. I got some fish eyes, and that's okay. You just sand it down once it's cured and sand it down really well, especially the areas that had fish eyes, and then put another layer of epoxy over top. It's a good way to fix your fish eyes. I'm not perfect. I know that, you know, like I said, nobody's perfect. And if you get fish eyes, don't cry over spilt milk. It's okay. You just sand it down and put another layer of epoxy on and you'll be good. But look at how beautiful this peekaboo is with that metallic foil underneath. I really love the way that this turned out. And I'm so excited, and I will definitely use foils as my peekaboo in the future again. I want to try different variations of using foil and glitter together. So I'll have to put on my thinking cap and come up with something cool to make. I hope you guys give this a try if you have never done this before. There's so many methods for tumbler making in this video. You have the Tackit Method, the foils, Tackit Method with glitter, kind of making a marbling veining, the peekaboo, and the wood grain. I hope you guys learned something from me today and give it a try. Now there are some areas that kind of got scratched when I was peeling up and fighting with that vinyl. So just go in with your chip brush with a little bit of the alcohol ink on it and just brush over it. And then you can clean up your peekaboo area with a little bit of rubbing alcohol on a Q-tip and clean that up before you put on your epoxy. I'm using this little brush because it was easier to get in on my pattern without getting too much on my peekaboo. And it worked well. Like I said, the wood grain's pretty forgiving. So I know I had mentioned about spraying and sealing this tumbler, but I actually didn't because I didn't want my alcohol ink to change its pattern, if that makes any sense. Sometimes when you spray seal your tumbler with alcohol ink, it will smudge. So I just went in with my my epoxy and let that cure. I did do one layer, sanded, and then did a second layer. And this here, what I'm showing you, is not epoxy. I actually put my decal on. You can see it there. I'll show it to you in a minute. Came up with a cute little, I don't know if I invented it, but I doubt I did anyway. I thought it was cute. I am sealing my vinyl image there with my Crystalac Bright Tone. I like to use this. This is just something I have on hand. You can use polyacrylic. You can use quick set. But I use this to seal that metallic vinyl that my my little quote has. That way it helps prevent bubbles staying on it after I epoxy. So once that Bright Tone's dry, then I am going to go in with 2 more layers of epoxy. You don't have to go out and buy the Bright Tone. It's just my sealer I use. And here she is. Oh my gourd, I love autumn. How many of you feel that way? I love the way this one turned out. It just gives me fall vibes for sure. I love the blue with the gold and copper. I hope you guys enjoyed my video. Thank you so much for sticking through and watching it. If you aren't subscribed to my channel, give me a little subscribe. There's a button there you hit, and you can see more of my tutorials in the future. I hope you give this one a try because this is a lot of fun to make, even though I was struggling with my vinyl. Thank you so much, everyone, for all the love you give on my channel. If you have any questions or comments or concerns, give me a little comment below and I will answer you as best I can. Happy crafting, everyone, and happy fall.